Okay, it is 12:52. If members can turn on all your video and Your Honor, if I can call roll call. If you are more than welcome to whatever you prefer.
President O, if you wouldn't mind doing roll call, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. Looking like a few of them are not here yet, but I will just get going just so that we can go through. Maria? I see you, Maria. Thank you, Maria. Jig? I see Jig.
Here.
Thank you, Jig. Cheryl? I don't see her back yet. All right, we'll be back to Cheryl. Jose? I see Jose. Hi, Jose. Shirley? Okay, Your Honor, I believe Shirley Kim has to step away at 11:12. She will be back at one point, but she will announce when she comes back. And Ricardo Sanchez?
Right here.
I see you, Ricardo. Hi, Ricardo. Nicole? I see you, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Debbie, I don't see her back yet, but. All right, we'll be back for Debbie. Jason?
Here.
Jason is here. Hi, Jason. Oh, I see Shirley. Shirley, are you back or are you, okay, perfect, Shirley. Thank you, Shirley. And I see Cheryl. Cheryl, are you here?
Yes.
Thank you, Cheryl. And one more is just waiting on Debbie Veal, which she is not back yet, but we'll give her a few more minutes if that's okay with you.
That's fine with me. I believe that Mrs. Veal is back.
Hi, Debbie. Debbie, are you back? No worries, Debbie. All right. The quorum is present for you, Your Honor, and back to you.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with the petitioner. Do you prefer Doctor or Mr.? I realize I forgot to ask the last petitioner.
Anyone is fine.
Okay, I'll go with Doctor. And how do I pronounce your name? I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
Cletus Uche Duru.
Duru?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, with that, I think we are ready to begin. So we are back on the record today, and we have a quorum of the board present. Again, my name is Jessica Wall. I'm an ALJ with the Office of Administrative Hearings. The current petition that we are hearing is a petition for early termination of probation filed by Cletus Uche Duru, agency case number 6012, OAH case number 20210700810. May I please take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Christina Jarvis. I'm a Deputy Attorney General appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role here is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. We have Dr. Duru here representing himself. Dr. Duru, were you aware that you could have hired an attorney to represent you in this matter?
Yes, I'm aware.
Or do you wish to continue representing yourself?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Duru. So at this time, I'm going to take your oath. So if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. So before we begin with Ms. Jarvis presenting the package, as you are representing yourself, I like to give a little bit more information. So in this proceeding, the board is concerned with your rehabilitation since your license was disciplined. Ms. Jarvis will first present the petition package and provide background in this matter. After that, you'll have an opportunity to make your presentation. Remember that the board has had the opportunity to read your petition package. You don't have to repeat anything within it. You'll be subject to questioning both by Ms. Jarvis and by board members. And then at the end of the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the near future. Do you have any questions about that, Dr. Duru?
No.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Jarvis, if you wouldn't mind presenting the petition summary.
Thank you, Your Honor. This matter arose from an accusation which proceeded to an administrative hearing and resulted in a proposed decision that, as to this petitioner, was adopted by the board and effective May 24th, 2018. In the decision, petitioner's license was placed on probation for a period of 5 years with specified terms and conditions of probation. The causes for discipline in the final decision were that petitioner engaged in unprofessional conduct as follows. Petitioner allowed an unlicensed individual to perform pharmacy technician work, failed to report the loss of 6 to 8 bottles of promethazine with codeine to the board within 30 days as required by statute, failed to follow policy and procedure regarding the quality assurance program by failing to document or assess medical errors, failed to have patient-centered prescription labels, failed to maintain a current inventory, and failed to do a biannual inventory, and then dispensed controlled substances for prescription forms missing required security features, and failed to exercise corresponding responsibility to ensure that controlled substances were dispensed for a legitimate medical purpose, and then finally, the clearly excessive furnishing of controlled substances. Now, with his petition, petitioner has provided a personal statement, 61.25 hours of continuing education taken from March of 2019 through March of 2021, and 4 letters of recommendation, all of which were verified. The letter writers all state that petitioner is a good man, a good mentor, remorseful for his mistakes, highly involved in both his religious community as well as the local Nigerian community, and has learned a lot from this experience and uses that knowledge to help other people. At this time, I'd like to mark and move as Exhibit 1 all of the documents described above as the petition packet, and that also includes the notice of hearing and the memorandum to the board.
All right, Dr. Duru, do you have any objections to admission of Exhibit 1?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then Exhibit 2 is the underlying decision in order, solely for purposes of showing exactly why we're here today.
Okay, Dr. Duru, do you have any objections to Exhibit 2?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then at this time, it is the petitioner's opportunity to address the board.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Dr. Duru, at this time, it's your opportunity to present your case so you can testify on your own behalf. You've already been sworn in under oath, and you are reminded that the board has had the benefit of your petition package, so you don't need to repeat anything in there. So you're welcome to begin.
Yeah, Honorable Judge, panel of judges, board members, good day. Since I'm representing myself, permit me the privilege of referring to my sources to avoid lapses in memory. My name is Cletus Duru. I'm here today to ask the board to grant me an early release from my probation. I will start by offering an apology to all that are involved, my patients, my professional colleagues, my family, my staff members that lost their job from my oversight. And I do apologize to all of you distinguished members of this panel and the Board of Pharmacy to assist me in moving on with my career. It's been a very bad teachable moment for me. And I have done everything I can to go through the rehabilitation process by abiding by the rules and the guidelines of this particular probation. My goal is not to retry this case. I've accepted the board's decision, and I've worked towards the rehabilitation process for 36 months of the 60 months that was involved. I have completed every and most of the mandatory 40 CE hours. And I've also added extra 61 hours, 61.5 hours of CE training. The first 40 is towards controlled drug laws, rules, and regulations. And then the last 60 is a broad spectrum of CE through the Board of Pharmacy, California Board of Pharmacy, California Pharmacy Association, internet programs, and journals. I've also been involved in community projects way back in 2010. Before I have this coming, I was a chairman of a local Nigerian community, which I left in 2010 before I started my pharmacy. Permit me to state a little bit about my life. I'm a husband, a father. I'm a community leader, and I've been married to my wife for 25 years. We share a passion in caring for our kids, for the community, and in our career dreams. And this had led her to become a medical doctor. Together, we have 3 children, 2 of whom are graduating in the next 12 months from California universities. And the last one is still finishing his high school. In my family, we value integrity, accountability, hard work. I had imagined that how difficult this would be because it's been a real setback, a lot of pressure to my wife, my children, because I took something away from them due to my oversights and shortcomings. I've gone through all the rehab process. I've lost income from it. I know people may have been involved, but I don't have a way to ascertain it. But since controlled drugs are involved, I don't have a way to make that judgment. I graduated from the College of from University of Pharmacy School in Nigeria in 1987. Migrated into this country in 1991 and started my internship in Santa Clara Valley Medical Center in San Jose. In 1993, I passed the Board of Pharmacy, and between 1993 and 1998, I took the national equivalency, NAPLEX, and then in 1998, I went back to College of Pharmacy, Midwestern, out of their units in Arizona to do a PharmD, which lasted between 1998 and 2000. Between 2000 and 2004, my family and I relocated to New York, where I was also licensed to practice to enable my wife complete her residency in family practice. We all had to move to keep the family together because we have 2 young daughters at the moment at that time. We came back to California in 2004, where I started working with Rite Aid one more time. My work history starts from 1993 when I started as an intern with Payless Pharmacy, got my license in June, moved to Thrifty Pharmacy. Both of them got bought over by Rite Aid, and I became a staff pharmacist in Rite Aid. In about 1998, I became a pharmacy manager. And when I moved to New York, I was there as a staff pharmacist for 1 year, and then as a pharmacy manager for 2 years. In my 30 years of pharmacy practice, I've only had one citation in the state of California and none in New York. My license in New York is currently in an active state. I have only had one citation in 2013, and that's for filling a prescription with the wrong name. Going into private pharmacy was a challenging thing for me in 2010. I had my problem in 2018. As far as community services are concerned, I'm a member of a nonprofit organization that is based in the United States. In 2019, we went to Nigeria, donated money and mattresses for babyless, motherless babies home, and then followed through with an incubator to neonatal clinic. My wife actually is the vice president of the organization, and that was her dream to do that. So the organization had to back her up. Currently, I'm also a member of the AfriPeace organization. It's a nonprofit organization that is based in California, and we are involved in doing the currently our COVID training thing, and we just received a $200,000 grant for COVID resistance COVID resistance and training to enable the minorities to get more immunization, and that is effective from July 1st of this year to February 28th. I am coordinating the vaccination program in helping get the necessary people to help us do the door-to-door training. At this point, I think I may have to hold back and then listen to the board. I do apologize for what has happened, and I take complete responsibility for what happened, for my failures. And I do appeal to the board to give me the opportunity to get my license back without restrictions. At least currently I'm employed in a medical supply unit that I set up with my family. So I'm getting a little income from that. And we are also opening up a UPS store within the same premises to enable us broaden our services. As a pharmacist, I'm able to do more in my offering to the community in medical supply business, something like nebulizers and things that require prescription. Granted, at the moment, as an exemptee, I can also provide such service, but as a pharmacist, it makes it more easier to include those services. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Duru. So I'm now going to have Ms. Jarvis ask you some questions.
Dr. Duru, as the PIC of Allwell Pharmacy, did you have the necessary control and ability to maintain inventory records?
Yes, I did.
You had full authority to do anything necessary in order to make sure your drug stock was safe?
Yes, my drugs. Yeah, I did.
And then were you also able to reject prescriptions if you had questions or felt that there were red flags? Did you have that authority?
Yes.
And in all of these cases, though, based on the discipline that was enacted in your case, you did not exercise that control and authority. Is that right?
To some degree, yes, the oversight was there.
Why do you think you did not exercise that authority? If you had the ability to do it, why didn't you?
I'm not perfect. I did not have any reason to benefit from any of those prescriptions or laxes. Some of the problem we have, which I don't want to blame anybody or any system, is the way the system was set up, because I did go back to hire extra relief pharmacists. I did buy into an inventory management, employee training and retraining, including my humble self. So I made every effort I can, hindsight, to make those corrections.
Did you have any ownership interest in All Well Pharmacy?
Yes, I did.
And you said you do. Do you still?
Did.
Okay. What was your ownership interest? Did you have a percentage? Were you a shareholder? How did that work?
100%.
You were the 100% owner.
Yes.
I see. At this time, why do you want your probation to be terminated early?
I want my probation to be terminated early because I've done everything that the board requires me to do, everything that I know that the board requires me to do. I've done the mandatory training. I've done the hours. I drive from here to Chico, 40 hours, almost 40 hours every 5 days a month. Done the CEs, more than the average CE requirements to be licensed as a pharmacist. I've done a lot of retraining, emotional and soul reflection. Thank God for my wife. Thank God for my family and friends who have supported me through this whole thing.
And I guess what I'm really trying to get at is what would change in your professional life if you were released from probation early? Are you currently working as a pharmacist?
On part-time basis, yes, in the pharmacy where I'm doing the program. I do not actually intend to do full-time pharmacy practice, but I want to leave that option open because currently with my involvement in the medical supply and the UPS and age, I may not have the privilege of doing full-time pharmacy practice. But I want to take the pride in a career I have spent half of my life building. I just want to keep it.
And in your current employment, your part-time employment as a pharmacist, you're doing that essentially to comply with the probation terms. Is that right?
That is correct.
And you're not actually on salary or anything like that.
No.
Are you getting paid at all for your work as a pharmacist?
No.
So you're essentially volunteering in order to get the hours in that are required by your probation terms.
As an employee, yes, because in all the inspection that the board came over there to do it, to have with me, I was on site. It's a small pharmacy. It is not possible for that pharmacy to retain another pharmacist on a regular basis. So because of the projected sale of my pharmacy, I was hoping to keep moving with my resources and the support of my family, especially my wife, to be able to tidy over because it was not possible to get a site to do the probation within the Sacramento area. So
And you reside here in the Sacramento area?
Yes.
And where's the pharmacy that you volunteer?
Chico.
When your probation monitors come out to inspect, your pharmacy, you just mentioned that you've always been on site for that. Have you had any issues?
No.
And since you were placed on probation, have you or this pharmacy where you're volunteering had any citations or accusations filed against you?
No.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. So President O, if you wouldn't mind going through the board and seeing what questions they have.
Absolutely. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to start with Cheryl. Cheryl, do you have any questions, comments for Dr. Drew?
Thank Dr. Drew for coming forward. I just have one question here. So are you saying that if the probation was taken off at this time and you did not have to do 2 more years, you would be able to go to work and get paid as opposed to volunteering?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, that would be a motivation. But you're saying also that at the same time, you would probably want to work part-time as opposed to full-time.
That's correct.
Okay.
Also to
Thank you.
broaden my offering in the medical supply business.
Okay, and in this COVID training that you're involved in, this is a training where you're training just other techs. Who are you training?
In what training?
You said something about training, that there was a grant that was July 2021 to February 2028.
Okay, we had a grant by the California's Public Health Department under the African House Project to provide vaccine resistance training.
Okay.
Part of my part is to help recruit the field workers. Granted, we have medical doctor on file. We have public health practitioners who will do the actual training.
I see.
My part is to help organize the support staff.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's commendable. And thank you again for your time. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Cheryl. Jose, do you have any questions, comments for Dr. Drew?
Ask the doctor, now how has this incident impacted you and your family? You mentioned your long time husband, children. As a father and a husband myself, I would think this would bring a lot of shame. How has this impacted you?
It has impacted me a lot emotionally. I feel I have disappointed my family in my failure to provide as I used to do. Because of the way my pharmacy was sold, I lost the last payout of $260,000 from Walgreens. So that also impacted my earning skills. So with 2 children in college, all young adults, 3 young adults, I think my wife can do with more help from me. In the past 20, 25 years of our marriage, I've always been there, but suddenly I found myself coming short. It saddens me.
Do you feel this event has altered now how you would live your life moving forward if you were fully reinstated, the probation was removed?
It will give me a peace of mind, a kind of reassurance. I'm able to do at least most of the things that I'm able to do freely. I think my wife will be happy, my children. At least we can go back to what we used to do. And the community, I think, will also benefit more from having an active license, because I've been involved in community program for as long as I've been in this country, because I know what need is, having been through the Nigerian Civil War as a child.
So, doctor, knowing right from wrong, right? What was your mindset when you hired unlicensed staff to perform, the role of a pharmacy technician? What was your mindset? Why did you do it? Of course, what was going through your mind as you were hiring these individuals to perform that task?
I did not hire a technician, a clerk to do a technician's job, because I have 7 employees, and that include a technician on the day of the inspection. But the clerk was doing those things at the time the inspection happened. Is that a regular program for a clerk? No. She wasn't hired to do those, because I have technicians, more than 1 technician on staff. I have drivers. I built my pharmacy from 50 prescriptions a month to 3,500 prescriptions a month. I think I couldn't do that without having the proper staff in place. I do have part-time pharmacists that were working with me at the time. So it will cost me less to have 3 technicians than having 1 pharmacist, for as long as it's within the guideline. About the medications that were stolen, it may have been there. It was a robbery thing. And it wasn't like I failed to submit that. Granted, my inventory program was default, was not very efficient. I'm not blaming anybody from that. I should have done better, because in hindsight, I did hire a more professional inventory management program. And that cost money. That's all we should have taken. But I did not hire a clerk to do the job of a technician, because I had technicians on file on my payroll.
Well, thank you for your response. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Shirley, any comments or questions?
Thank you so much for your presentation and your candor about what happened. And also thank you for your service to the community, especially with respect to COVID vaccine outreach. I think that that's an important initiative right now. I had one question about following up on board member Butler's question about paid positions and part-time paid positions in Sacramento. Just to clarify, you had previously applied to some paid positions in Sacramento, but were you rejected because of your probationary status?
Yes, I did apply. What nobody told me because of the probationary trial, because one of my inspectors did make that suggestion even at the time CVS was hiring for COVID float pharmacists. The information was we do not have, or you're not a proper fit for this particular position. I'm not able to ascertain the specifics, but I just took it as, yes, I did apply.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Ricardo, any questions or comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for coming before the board. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And thank you for sharing all your efforts that you've done to try to get reinstated. I wish you luck with your family, your 3 sons. And I hope things work out and you're able to serve your profession. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. Nicole, any questions or comments?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Juru. Thank you so much for coming today. My question was about the inspection that you had found deficiencies in a variety of areas. It wasn't just one thing. You know, we had the quality assurance program, the clerk acting as a technician, you know, things around the C2 prescriptions and the controlled substances. So it was kind of broad. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you did to learn and change so that you wouldn't have these kind of deficiencies going forward.
Well, as far as the employee issue is concerned, it was not designed to have happened because I did have technician on my payroll. But what we did was set up a retraining program because initially the board made an observation that if we can have proof that all these things are in place, that we did. I did hire, get a an inventory manager to help us do some of the inventory programs. Granted, the controlled drug inventory was specifically my responsibility. And that we did take care of and sent the information back to them. There is a change of mindset as far as issues are concerned. We did refuse every and all prescriptions that are not within the Sacramento area to the point that it was looking very extreme. And the question is, are we denying service to people that need them? We did set up local doctors that we had worked with in the past, and we referred patients to them because we had a long-term care program in our pharmacy at the time. So we made every effort to reduce the flow of prescriptions because the technology out there is very, very advanced for people to give out the or bring in the wrong prescription or the fake prescriptions. With the cure system in place now, with the serial number in the controlled drug issue, I think it has helped a lot for pharmacists to actually narrow down in trying to predict or determine some of these things. You call the doctor's office to verify with who you're having prescriptions. And it was a tough call, but we made every effort to make corrections for those.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Debbie, any questions or comments for Dr. Duru?
Yes, I do. Hi, Dr. Duru. Thank you for being here and taking our questions today. I just kind of want to follow up on the prior question. So it was the excessive filling of controlled drugs that I was kind of wanting to focus in on. In your notes, you listed the list of infractions, dispensing controlled prescriptions from a prescriber 160 miles from all well pharmacies. So you were saying that you, for the most part, it sounded like you tried to only take care of patients or prescriptions from prescribers who were nearby. But this Jose Flores, was that just an aberration? It looks like but it looks like you took prescriptions from him for almost 3 years. So can you just kind of expand upon exactly what happened with that particular prescriber?
Most of the patients who brought in those prescriptions are residents in Sacramento. And at the time, we did do some vetting to determine if these prescriptions were actually needed. And all we can do is ask, call, and clarify. We did that. But at the same time, we try to move them to doctors in Sacramento. But because of the insurance issue and the neighborhood, most of them do not get, some of the doctors around will not take their prescriptions. But when this persisted, we had to stop taking those prescriptions but at this time, the damage is already done. Was that of any intention? No, because most of the insurance are not really covering those drugs. It was after the fact that we found out that some of them were paying the doctors out of town to get their prescriptions. We are not aware of that because either their insurance is not accepted and they will pay for medication. So the intention coming in was a little bit tricky, but we could not control that because we did not have that information until after the fact.
And because a lot of times, with these drug seeker individuals, they're actually paying cash. But so it sounds like in this situation, these people were getting their controlled drugs on insurance.
Most of them have insurance and bill their insurance. Some don't, so but the majority do have insurance.
Okay. And in your note explanation, you said, I received and filled several prescriptions from one Dr. Jose Flores. So was it like not that many prescriptions? I mean, normally when the board does excessive furnishing, it's like a lot. But it sounds like maybe, it was over a 3-year period, but maybe it wasn't. I mean, can you quantify relatively how many it was?
At the time when we had a board inspection, we did have that conversation. The percentage of my controlled drug dispensing is lower than the national average. And that I did present to the Board of Pharmacy. I'm not trying to put up a defense, but I'm just trying to tell you the percentage in relation to the national average was lower at my store. So it did not in any way call that, okay, you're doing the wrong thing, but the prescription pattern of the doctor should have, had its part of me. But if the patient is based in Sacramento, being from the old school of trying to take care of patients, then that is something you have to encourage them to get a local doctor. And that we did on our own, getting these doctors, talking to them and say, okay, we are transferring these patients to you to avoid this issue. And most of them did change. And at the time of the inspection, these were no longer the issue. But before we got to that, there was nothing we could change. It was already on the board record.
Right. So I'm from Southern California. How far is that drive from Sacramento to Chico? It sounds like it's not, like it's a little distance.
It is about, from my house, it's about 105 miles.
Oh, wow.
One way.
One way.
And I've done that for 3 years.
And that was the closest pharmacy you could find that would employ you even at no charge.
That's correct.
Wow. Well, God bless you for doing that. And then Dr. Butler asked you the question. So if you got your license back, the idea would be that you would get paid for working. Would you get paid for working at that pharmacy in Chico, or you would hope to find another location?
Well, that will open my my options, but we already discussed it. Why I cannot go back at this time to ask for payment was since it's a small pharmacy, and I was hoping to be able to fund my the payment was not necessarily an incentive, but a location to meet the requirement. So I had to take it as my best offer to do the board mandates.
So probably it's not necessary that they would pay you once you got your license back because they're small.
No,
You're hoping to find another place.
He will pay if the license is reinstated, and then we come to a different kind of understanding.
Okay, gotcha. Great. Your medical supply, I was kind of trying to read between the lines. It sounds like perhaps you might offer pharmacy services if you got your license reinstated. Am I understanding that correctly?
I will offer prescription-related medical supply, but I will not be running pharmacy in there.
Okay, so maybe like you have a nebulizer, you would, have, like, you'd be able to provide albuterol or something, but you're not going to have a full pharmacy. Am I understanding that?
Only for the device, like the nebulizer,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Albuterol solution, I may not want to go into it.
Okay. And having a medical supply and having a pharmacist license on probation, I know if you're a pharmacy, that really impacts your ability to do some like insurance billing and that kind of stuff. Does having your pharmacist license on probation, does that impact anything with your medical supply as far as billing?
Because I had to get licensed and as an exemptee, and as an exemptee, I can provide most of the services that a pharmacist can as a medical supplier through the Department of Public Health. But as a pharmacist, it gets a little bit easier, and you can open up more products that are not just limited as an exemptee.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much for your candor and your answers. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Jason, any questions or comments?
Dr. Duru, thank you very much for appearing before the board today. We know it is difficult. I just want to say thank you for your very thorough and thoughtful evaluation of how we arrived here today, and of the ownership of your actions in the history, and of where you want to go forward from now. So I just wish you best of luck, and thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Maria, any questions or comments?
Thank you. Dr. Duru, I really appreciate you coming before us today and sharing your information. And I just wanted to commend you for your ongoing efforts to meet the requirements of your probation and driving so far, and for working at no pay. It's very commendable, and congratulations. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Jig, any comments or questions?
And Dr. Duru, thank you for coming in front of the board and judge and the Deputy Attorney General today for this hearing, and taking full responsibility of what happened. And I feel that your rehabilitation process that you went through, it will make you a better pharmacist in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jig. And I just have a couple questions. So first, I'm just trying to make sure I understand regarding the medical supply business you created, Dr. Duru. Is that something, because you have a probationary pharmacist license, that you cannot do that you would be able to do with a regular pharmacist license without any restrictions? I'm trying to make sure I understand that correctly.
No, can you repeat that again?
Is there, on your medical supply business, because your pharmacist license is under probationary terms, is there anything that you would be able to do if your pharmacist license was not on probation?
Yes, like I said, I could be able to open up what I'm able to offer, because All Well Pharmacy was also All Well Pharmacy and medical supply. But the medical supply can be licensed under a pharmacy without restrictions. But under Department of Public Health and an exemptee license, there might be limits to what you can be able to offer. Granted, I do have an NPI, I do have a prescription privilege as a number, through the Department of Public Health. So the offering broadens. So that will give me a better market growth.
Okay, thank you. And if your license was no longer on probationary terms, are you inclined to be looking for more pharmacist opportunity, or are you inclined to expand more of your medical supply business?
No, I will look for pharmacy opportunity, at least on a part-time basis. I just want to keep my option open. I just want to, I hate to use the language, get back what is mine, if I meet the requirement for that. The board has given me their guideline for rehabilitation, and I've actually tried to meet those guidelines. I'm just appealing to make it right.
Thank you, Dr. Duru. Thank you for coming, and I commend you for creating a nonprofit and doing your best to keep up with the probationary terms. Thank you for your time, and Judge, it's back to you.
Thank you, President O. So, Dr. Duru, is there any other testimony you'd like to offer before we move on to closing?
I just want to conclude by acknowledging the difficult task ahead, and I realize that I've made some errors in the past. I've fixed those errors mentally and emotionally. I have thoroughly and completely followed your guideline for rehabilitation and redemption. I do know now that I possess the prerequisite for a better professional attitude, and I'm asking for or appealing for a termination, early termination. Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Duru, would you like to make a closing argument, or do you feel that your testimony has summed it up?
I don't consider this as an argument. I consider it as an understanding.
Yes.
I came for an understanding. And I've done my part to do what I have to do for self-redemption. I think it's time for me to, I think it will be fair to give me the opportunity to at least move on and do what I have to do with my family, bring more peace in my life. So,
Okay, thank you, Dr. Duru. Ms. Jarvis, do you have any closing remarks?
Just to clarify one point, according to the decision, Allwell dispensed controlled substances for 653 prescriptions written by Dr. Flores during the 3 years of the audit period, 90% of which were paid with cash. That said, petitioner has been on probation for just over 3 years. In that time, he has been observed by his probation monitor to have opened up and become more accepting of his probation status. He has gone to great lengths to comply with probation. His probation monitor does not have any concerns with petitioner being released from probation, and neither do I. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Thank you, Dr. Duru. That concludes the petition hearing on this matter. The case is submitted and the record is closed. We are off the record in this matter and will proceed to the next petition. Thank you, Dr. Duru. You may be excused.
Thank
So, President O, would you like to take a break before we move on to the next petition, or would you like to go straight into it?
I will survey members. Any members needing a break, please let us know.
It's a 5 or 10-minute break.
Okay, sounds good. We'll come back at 1:51, Your Honor, if that's okay.
That's fine by me. I'll see everyone
Sounds
at 1:50.
good.
Time for the moderator to make sure that our sound is good for the next petitioner.
Yes, I'm working on that now.
Excellent.
Test 1 2 3.
Hello, can you hear us?
I can. Give me 1 second. All right, so I see Gerard Rivera.
And I hear you. I'm also looking for Juarez and Stephen Choi. I can see you. Can we test your microphone?
Hi, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, and we'll be back in just a few minutes to get started.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, it's 1:51. Members, if you're back, if you could turn the video on in lieu of, I guess we can take that as a roll call, hopefully. I'm only seeing Nicole and myself right now. Oh, I see Shirley. Sorry, Your Honor, we will give them a few more minutes. Okay, I see Maria and Cheryl. Still waiting on Debbie, Veal, Jason, Jig, and Jose and Ricardo. And Ricardo, I see. We can hear you and see you. Yeah, thank you. Debbie's back. Just waiting on Jason and Jig and Jose.
And I'm here as well in case.
Jose is back. Okay, thank you, Jose. Your Honor, I am sorry that, oh, there's Jig back. Okay, Jig is back. Just waiting on Jason.
Sorry, I thought it was 10 minutes. I apologize.
Do we also have the Deputy Attorney General on the call with us? I don't see her video.
She is still connected. I also do not see her video.
This is Jason. I'm here.
Thank you, Jason. And I think we're actually now waiting on Dag Jarvis. So, Dag Jarvis, when you arrive, just let us know.
Can I ask, I see 3 individuals that I believe are affiliated with the petitioners. Can I get your names and your position, if any of you are counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll start for the group. My name is Gerard Rivera. I'm a pharmacist and CEO of Pacific Pharmacy Group.
And Mr. Rivera, do you prefer Mr. or Doctor?
Doctor, please.
Okay, Dr. Rivera. Okay, got it. Who else do we have?
Hello, everyone. My name's Stephen Choi, and I am the PIC of Valencia Pharmacy.
And Dr. Choi, do you prefer Doctor or Mr.?
Doctor, please.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabe Juarez, and I'm a VP of Pacific Pharmacy Group.
So, Mr. Juarez, when you speak, you will need to move much closer to the microphone so that it's picked up in the recording and everybody can hear you.
Understood. Can you hear me now?
I can. I didn't catch whether you are a pharmacist.
I am not a pharmacist.
Okay. Do you mind if I call you Mr. Juarez?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I see that we have Deputy Attorney General Jarvis back as well.
Yes, my apologies, Your Honor. I'm here.
No problem. Okay. So have the petitioners heard my opening before about how these proceedings are concerned with rehabilitation, not with the underlying discipline? The board has been given your petition packet, so there's no need to repeat items within it.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions before we begin?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We are on the record before the California State Board of Pharmacy. A quorum of the board is present. Again, my name is Jessica Wall. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings assigned to preside over this matter. We are currently hearing the matter of the petition for early termination of probation filed by Pacific Pharmacy Group, doing business as Valencia Pharmacy. Agency case number 5869, OAH case number 2021070824. May I please take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis. I am appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And for the petitioners, who would like to start? Okay, so I just need you to introduce yourselves for the record. You will have an opportunity to be sworn in to present evidence. I will need to do each of you individually. So, Mr. Rivera, Dr. Rivera, I apologize, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Gerard Rivera. I am the CEO of Pacific Pharmacy Group, also a pharmacist.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Stephen Choi, and I am the PIC of Valencia Pharmacy.
My name is Gabe Juarez, and I'm a VP of Pacific Pharmacy Group. I'm not a pharmacist.
Thank you all. So the petitioners are appearing without counsel today. Are you aware that you could have hired counsel to represent you in this proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. Do you wish to proceed representing yourselves?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to swear each of you in, as I presume that each of you will be wanting to answer questions to the extent that you know the information. I'll start with Dr. Rivera. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. Dr. Choi, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Choi. Mr. Juarez, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you, petitioners. So I'm going to just repeat a little bit of what I said off the record. In this proceeding, the board is concerned with rehabilitation since your license was disciplined. Ms. Jarvis will first present the petition package and provide background in this matter. After that, you'll have an opportunity to make your presentation. Remember that the board has had an opportunity to read your petition package, so there will not be a need to repeat the items within it. After the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the near future. Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, petitioners. So, Ms. Jarvis, will you please present the petition summary?
This matter arose through the filing of an accusation, after which petitioner entered into a stipulated settlement with the board, which became effective on June 7th, 2018, and provided that petitioners' licenses would be revoked, with the revocation stayed for a 5-year probation period, with certain specified terms and conditions of probation. The underlying facts of the matter are that an audit of controlled substances for the time period June 11th, 2013 to August 31st, 2015 found a failure to maintain current inventory of controlled substances, a failure to secure the inventory of controlled substances, such that they were missing 681 tablets of oxycodone, 10,863 tablets of alprazolam, 8,720 tablets of carisoprodol, I think, 32,668 tablets of Norco-10s, and 1,489 milliliters of promethazine with codeine. In aggravation, petitioner had had 2 prior citations, including 1 count for failing to store controlled substances in a securely locked cabinet. Petitioner is 100% compliant with his probation terms, including payment of a $10,000 administrative penalty, and has completed enough time on probation to be eligible to bring this petition before the board. The only outstanding item is the cost recovery, which was ordered jointly and severally with the then PIC in the amount of $19,701.50. As of July 19th, 2021, $7,497.50 of that amount has been paid. In support of the petition, petitioner has provided continuing ed certificates for its current PIC, that's Dr. Choi, through whom the pharmacy appears in part today, which total 126.25 hours from September 2018 through April of 2020. Petitioner also provided 4 letters of recommendation, all of which were verified by board staff. One of the letters of recommendation that I wanted to highlight is from petitioner's pharmacy consultant, who states in a letter dated March 15th, 2021, that he has been performing monthly inspections and the pharmacy is fully compliant. In this letter, the pharmacy consultant actually supports petitioner being released from probation. And I think since that is actually in some ways against the writer's financial interest, that should have significant weight, since obviously if the pharmacy is released from probation, they would no longer need a consultant. Exhibit 1 consists of all the documents described above as the petition packet, the notice of hearing, and the memorandum of the board. And at this time, I'd like to move that it be admitted into evidence.
Okay, petitioners, do you have any objection to admitting the petition into evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Jarvis, would that just be Exhibit 1?
Yes, that was Exhibit 1.
Okay.
And then Exhibit 2 is the underlying decision and order that shows us why we're here today.
Okay. Petitioners, do you have any objection to admission of Exhibit 2?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. The Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then at this time, it is now the petitioner's opportunity to address the board.
Okay. So, petitioners, you may decide amongst yourselves the order that you would like to go in order to provide testimony. Remember, this is concerned with your rehabilitation, so any testimony you can give relating to that will be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've prepared an opening statement. Good afternoon, Judge Wall, Deputy Attorney General Jarvis, President O, members of the California Board of Pharmacy, and all others here today. I'd like to thank you for taking the time and allowing us the opportunity to petition for early termination of probation today. I'd like to start by first introducing myself as well as my colleagues here on the call today. My name is Gerard Rivera. I'm a pharmacist and CEO of Pacific Pharmacy Group. Valencia Pharmacy is one of our pharmacies within our pharmacy group. I'm joined here today with Gabe Juarez, who serves as Vice President, and Dr. Stephen Choi, pharmacist in charge of Valencia Pharmacy. The three of us are here today in hopes to be granted early termination of probation due to 100% compliance with the requirements of probation. Additionally, we'd like to take this opportunity to provide details of any and all rehabilitation we have completed as a company since being placed on probation on June 7, 2018. Valencia Pharmacy has made it a priority to learn from this probation and simply do better to ensure this never happens again. In order to accomplish this, we first needed to understand how did this occur. As a reminder, the audit period was conducted between June 11, 2013 to August 31st, 2015. During this time, we take full responsibility of the poor management and security of controlled medication inventory. Standards were not met, which is reason for why our pharmacy license was placed on probation. I would like to highlight some of the major changes we have done as a company since being placed on probation, starting with a management change. Jan Balthazar, our previous CEO, and Chris Choi, previous PIC of Valencia Pharmacy, are no longer employed by our company nor have any affiliation with our company. This includes no affiliation as an employee, shareholder, or director. Additionally, we implemented a corrective action plan to prevent any chance of non-compliance with our probation. The corrective action plan includes monthly staff and management meetings to ensure corrective action plan is being enforced and all members of our staff remain compliant. A full physical inventory of Control 2 medications are conducted every 2 months versus quarterly. We also have a perpetual inventory of C3 to 5 and conduct a physical count every 2 months. Additionally, all C2 narcotics are secured and stored in a large, heavy-duty safe only pharmacists have access to. Further security of the controlled medication is enforced leveraging our pharmacy security system for 24-hour monitoring. Furthermore, we also conduct full physical inventory every 2 weeks of the drugs highlighted in our probation. This is where the pharmacist in charge compares what's in the perpetual inventory, which tracks all prescription dispensing, as well as what we receive through the wholesalers, versus what actually we have on hand in order to detect and identify any variants, if any. Please note that this is not a daunting task for the pharmacist, considering the balance on hand of these drugs have significantly decreased since the audit period, as indicated in our monthly report prepared by our independent consultant. On that note, we do have an independent outside consultant inspect the pharmacy each month as required by our probation terms. This consultant is responsible for the physical inspection and reviewing pharmacy operation on a monthly basis for compliance. Additionally, we have quarterly unannounced Board of Pharmacy inspections by board staff per our probation terms as well. I wanted to highlight this because of the value it brings our company and the patients that we serve. The frequent interaction with the Board of Pharmacy has been an excellent experience for our company to remain up to date with best practices and California pharmacy law. It has truly been a collaborative experience full of great learnings. For example, during our most recent visitation by the Board of Pharmacy on April 27, 2021, we were reminded about the update to pharmacy law, which requires pharmacies to submit to cures daily versus weekly. We are able to make important adjustments like the aforementioned to ensure compliance and safety to all patients taking controlled medications. Please note, all of our inspections and internal meetings that cover our corrective action plan are documented and placed in our on-site probation folder where it is easily accessible at all times should we need to reference or update it. Another important note I'd like to share is since our on-site audit by the Board of Pharmacy, we had a subsequent full on-site audit by the DEA on August 3rd, 2017, approximately at 10:05 a.m., which is documented in our DEA Form 82, which is the Notice of Inspection of Controlled Premises. The time frame for review and audit by the DEA was between September 28, 2016 to August 2nd, 2017. DEA Diversion Investigator Marcella Sarkert of the Los Angeles office and Agent Ava Liu were the lead inspectors for the DEA investigation. All management and staff complied with any and all requests of the DEA during this live audit. In fact, we willingly signed the DEA Form 82, which voluntarily gives consent for inspection of the pharmacy. The outcome of the audit was very good and inventory counts were accurate, which is why our DEA license is currently active and in good standing. Next, I would like to spend some time highlighting some of the rehabilitative measures we have taken as a company and as individuals since our license was disciplined. Per our probation requirements, we attended the in-person CE course titled Cures, Prescription Drug Abuse and Preventing Drug Diversion, What a Pharmacist Needs to Know, on September 22nd, 2018 in Buena Park, California. We recall Chief of Enforcement Thomas Lennox presenting drug diversion trends and sharing actual pictures of pharmacies around the area. I vividly recall the picture of a pharmacy sink that he shared with the class full of what looked like junk and items that should not be in a pharmacy sink. I thought to myself, I'm thankful we have the Board of Pharmacy to help protect our patients from situations like these. Additionally, our company, as well as me personally, really take pride in the role of preceptor and adjunct faculty for many of the pharmacy schools in California. In fact, a couple of our company pharmacists have been recipients of Preceptor of the Year awards. Some of the schools we serve as adjunct professor include Loma Linda University School of Pharmacy, USC School of Pharmacy, and Chapman University School of Pharmacy, to name a few. Dr. Stephen Choi, Gabe Boras, and myself have had the privilege to have precepted dozens of students over the years. It is a responsibility we take very seriously, as we know our guidance and experience we share with our students will help nurture the profession of pharmacy for the future and ultimately lead to better patient care. Furthermore, we are very proud of the PGY1 Community Pharmacy Residency Program we founded in partnership with Loma Linda University School of Pharmacy. Through this residency and partnership with the school, we've been able to experience amazing opportunities such as working closely with our residents to roll out new protocols. For example, we have a pharmacist naloxone furnishment protocol. All pharmacists in our company are naloxone trained and are able to furnish naloxone to our patient when appropriate. We also have an excellent relationship with the Dean of Loma Linda School of Pharmacy, also former APHA President, Dean Michael Hogue. There are a couple of projects I'd like to share with everyone that we've either worked on or are currently working on together. First, we were able to coordinate a continuing education webinar last October of 2020 titled Ending the HIV Epidemic, the Essential Role of Pharmacists in Diagnosis, Treatment, and Prevention. This webinar was a collaboration between our company, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as well as Loma Linda University. This was an awesome webinar that we were a part of that allowed pharmacists to earn CE credits, 1.5 CE credits for a 90-minute webinar. Many pharmacy students, alumni, staff, and pharmacists attended the webinar, which gathered between 200 to 300 attendees. We had the privilege of having HHS Chief Operating Officer Harold Phillips as our keynote speaker. Also, we had Director and Dr. Michelle Sandoval Rosario, as well as Pharmacist Deputy Director Nelly Gazarian as additional speakers for the CE webinar. We were and still are extremely proud of hosting this event, as we know it was able to contribute to empowering the role of a pharmacist in today's healthcare system. Secondly, Dean Michael Hogue recently invited me to represent our company as speaker at what he calls his Dean's Forum, which is a live event that will be held on the Loma Linda University campus on November 5th, later this year at 1 p.m. According to the Dean, there will be over 300 in attendance composed of faculty, staff, residents, and pharmacy students from all 4 classes. What I wanted to highlight is the subject topic and title of the speaking engagement, which is Professionalism in the Workplace. I am so honored to be invited to speak at this event and feel privileged to represent our company. I believe that this probation has provided critical experience and has prepared me to hopefully provide value to those in attendance when I speak at the Dean's Forum. We understand that it's a privilege to be a pharmacist and to work in the pharmacy profession, and it holds huge responsibilities to the community and the patients that we serve. I will take this opportunity to provide as much guidance and personal experience as possible to future pharmacists of tomorrow, with the hopes that the students can gain some insights and apply them to their future workplace sometime in their career. Lastly, I'd like to share an accomplishment our company recently earned. I'm sorry if I failed to mention earlier, but many of our pharmacists that work at our company are alumni of Loma Linda University. Some were former students, IPPE, APPE, and even former residents we've been able to onboard onto the team. We were featured on the front cover of Loma Linda University's magazine called The Capsule. The headline of the cover stated Dream Team. I'm not sharing this to brag or show off, but I'm sharing this because I am so proud of it. If you don't mind, I actually have the magazine that has all our pharmacist team, and I'm really extremely proud of this. We work hard to ensure we are practicing the profession of pharmacy with integrity, ethics, and compliance to the best of our ability. We take this probation and what we've learned from it very seriously and plan to do better, not by words, but through actions of service. Ultimately, that's the oath that we took when we became pharmacists and chose a pharmacy career. We promised to devote ourselves to a lifetime of service to others through the profession of pharmacy. Honorable Judge Wall, Deputy Attorney General Jarvis, President O, members of the Board of Pharmacy, and all others here today, we thank you for your time and consideration. This concludes our opening statement.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. I just want to confirm this is for all individuals with Valencia Pharmacy?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I'll have Ms. Jarvis ask you some questions.
Dr. Rivera, and just to kind of clarify, because there's a lot of materials in your petition and then a lot in your opening statement just now. So it sounds like a significant portion, if not all, of your leadership structure there has changed since this probation term was initiated. Can you quantify that? Is it everybody? Is it 80%? That sort of thing? Yes,
Ms. Jarvis. I'd say 100% in terms of upper leadership and me being the CEO. Our PICs, if PICs is I consider as members of our management team. So obviously there was, and I want to make sure this is because they have the same last name. Stephen Choi is a new PIC. Chris Choi was the PIC during the audit probation. I believe since 2015, our retention rate on PIC for all our other locations have been the same.
What do you mean by that?
But PICs, like we have the same management. Going back to your question on has our management changed? So our PICs are the same.
Your PI, okay. So I'm really only concerned with the Valencia Pharmacy location, not necessarily any other location under your umbrella. But for that pharmacy in particular, your entire management structure has been replaced, essentially.
Yes, Ms. Jarvis.
Okay. And then this question actually is for Dr. Choi. Dr. Choi, you had stated in your written statement somewhere that upon becoming the PIC for Valencia, you became aware of the probation status. I think that was probably just a vague way of putting it in the sentence. Did you actually know the probation status before you agreed to be the PIC?
Yes, I did.
And so you agreed to take on the PIC responsibility of this pharmacy on probation. Why did you make that determination, that decision?
So I accepted this position of PIC knowing that Valencia Pharmacy was being under probation because I'm always up for the challenge and I try to push myself to learn and grow. I knew that this would be a good learning experience and an experience that I would have guidance with the Board of Pharmacy as well as the inspectors. I wanted to take the opportunity to push my potential in becoming a great pharmacist and manager, and I felt confident that I can complete this probation in good standing.
Thank you. And as PIC, do you have any ownership or financial interest in Valencia?
No.
Let me just check one thing. I think you already answered my question. The continuing education, this again is for Dr. Choi, the continuing education that you submitted with your with the petition, that's for the last approximately 2 years. Have you been the PIC for Valencia the entire time?
Yes, since December of 2017.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions that I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. So, President O, may I please ask you to go through the board and see what questions they have?
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you for coming here to all of you guys. I'm going to start with Jose. Jose?
Thank you. So a question for the CEO. Can you give me a little bit of more detail on your corporate structure, your senior management team, CEO down all the way to your Valencia Pharmacy PIC?
Yes, Mr. Pass. So I'm the CEO of Pacific Pharmacy Group. Gabe Warris is a vice president. We also have a director of pharmacy. We also, that all the PICs of our locations report up to. We have another executive director of the business office, and that concludes our leadership structure and org chart.
So the CEO was replaced, the PIC was replaced. The director continues to be the same?
Director of pharmacy, correct.
And the PIC reported to the director of pharma reported into the CEO?
Director of pharmacy reports to the CEO, correct.
What was the mindset around keeping the director while replacing the CEO and the PIC?
Oh, excuse me. So I was, at the time of the probation, I was the director of pharmacy. Then I became the CEO when our company decided that we needed to part ways with the previous CEOs. So the director of pharmacy did change because that was a position that became vacant when I became the CEO of the company.
Got it. So you were the director at the time.
Correct.
And the missing Norco, codeine, oxy, all of those, you had no knowledge of that at the time.
Yeah, at the time, I live in Orange County, California. My responsibility, although I was the director of pharmacy, I was responsible for our Orange County stores. Our CEO, Jan Balthazar, at the time, made weekly visits to Valencia Pharmacy, which covered the oversight for our Santa Clarita division. So I was not aware of the inventory management at that location. That does not make an excuse for me to try to help, ensure that inventory management across all our locations are excellent. But that was the situation at the time.
Got it. So the current director has all the PICs reporting into the director, but previously that was not the hierarchy?
That was a previous hierarchy as well. So they report to the director. But I would say now, I guess the difference is I believe that we very often speak to each other because of the technology of Zoom and just like telecommunication. The actual act of traveling to that division at that time, back in 2015, 2014, we didn't, the usage of Zoom and getting together wasn't as accessible as it is today. So I would say today we do an excellent job in ensuring that every location reports up to and every PIC reports up to the director of pharmacy.
So who was responsible for the audits of that location?
The PIC.
And the PIC never reported anything into the director regarding missing inventory or missing prescriptions?
I wouldn't say never. We definitely had quarterly reviews. We would go over, workflow. We would go over just general things that are going on with all the pharmacies that united, what required us to be on site and be together. All PICs, all director of pharmacy, CEO. That was the cadence, probably at least quarterly. But obviously, today in today's operations, it's almost every day because we're able to connect a lot easier.
Okay, and so the verifications, all the, the false, was it prescriptions wrongly verified and issued, all of that the ownership fell on the local PIC, and the communication never really went up to you as the director?
It didn't.
Okay. All right, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Shirley, any questions or comments?
Couple comments. Thank you for your presentation today. I really appreciated hearing about the significant investments in time, money, and resources that you've invested in your corrective action plan. I think my question is, how confident do you feel that you'll be able to keep up these systems to ensure compliance once the license has been reinstated?
Thank you. Yes, I definitely think I'm very confident only because of the interaction between myself, Gabe Wars, Dr. Stephen Choi are very often, multiple times throughout the day, as well as obviously every week, depending on what's going on at that location at that time. We're very aware of the corrective action plan. It's become our standard operating procedure. We think it's best practice. And so what we've learned from this experience and literally being able to nurture a relationship with the Board of Pharmacy where we're not scared to communicate to the Board of Pharmacy. We're more intrigued, like if we don't know, just ask. I think that's an excellent byproduct of this entire experience. So 100% confident that we could keep up with the probation terms, whether we're on or off of this probation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Ricardo, any questions or comments?
Just wanted to thank Mr. Valencia for coming before the board. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and I wish you luck. And thank you again for coming before us. That's basically it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. Nicole, any comments or questions?
Thank you so much for presenting on what you've done for Valencia Pharmacy. I wanted to know, did you take any of these newfound best practices and apply it to your other pharmacies in your pharmacy group?
Thank you. Absolutely. Definitely, I would say that Valencia Pharmacy, in terms of overall standard operating procedure, is best practice. We have a direct line of communication with the Board of Pharmacy. The relationship that our company has with the inspector, I think, is very, very strong to where we could share best practices. So what we learn at Valencia Pharmacy, we ensure to implement into our standing operating procedures and monitor it to ensure that we're following these standard operating procedures. So absolutely.
Questions? Are you good?
Sorry, I hit mute. I'm good. Thank you so
That's
much.
okay. Thank you, Nicole. Debbie Veal, any questions or comments?
I do have a couple, thank you. The first one actually is for Ms. Jarvis. So you mentioned at the beginning that there's $7,497.50 still owed. That was both the former PIC and Valencia Pharmacy. So is Valencia responsible for that? Do we know who really owes that, or is that for them to figure out with the former PIC?
Really liable for that amount means that they are both they're both responsible jointly. So they get to work out if Valencia doesn't want this on their record anymore, they would just pay the whole thing. If the former PIC doesn't want it on his record before, he could pay the whole thing. And then they can essentially discuss with each other how they want to sort of appropriate the finances. I did want to clarify though, it's actually $12,204 outstanding. The $7,000 amount was what they've paid as of July 19th of 2021. And then they did also, the pharmacy did also pay a $10,000 administrative penalty already as well. The board does have the authority to modify that term through this proceeding, but that's the way it stands as of now.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Dr. Rivera, I don't know if you've contemplated, not that we're all about money, but if you've contemplated how you would address the money that's still owed.
Yes, Ms. Veal. Essentially, we've taken the recommendation of the Board of Pharmacy to make monthly payments during this probation to ensure that we're making contributions to the total amount. The contemplation put into the remaining balance would be if granted the privilege to be placed off of probation, we plan to satisfy the full amount.
Thank you. So that was a lot, I think we can all agree, that was a lot of controlled substance missing. And especially from the long-term care, and I guess long-term care does have some controlled substance. Do you have any idea what happened? Was it stolen?
No, Ms. Veal, because I had mentioned the subsequent DEA visit, during that time, obviously I wasn't physically there, so the details, I can only say I don't know the details. However, I definitely think that the results of the DEA audit were excellent. So I don't even know if all that was missing, to be honest. I don't know. But I do know what we're doing moving forward is even one pill, we need to know if it's missing. So that's the type of operations that we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to be as perfect as possible. And then obviously we have a duty to report if there's any variance. That's what we're doing in terms of rehabilitative measures.
So it could have been a paperwork situation.
I think so, absolutely.
And you mentioned that you love when the board inspector comes in, which I'm glad that you have a great relationship with them. We've in the past, they haven't always had that kind of aura about them that people were looking for here, them coming in. So it's actually good to hear. And that the board inspector helps to keep you up to date. But how else do you keep up to date with pharmacy regulations and changes other than just relying on when the board inspector stops by?
Yeah, I'm very, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Choi.
So as far as Valencia Pharmacy goes, I keep up very frequently with the script whenever it's posted by the Board of Pharmacy. I also get emails daily or whenever it's sent by the Board of Pharmacy, so I make sure to read up on all of those. And then as you can see with my CE transcript, I always just try to keep up with anything involving opioids. Probably half of those CE credits were surrounded about the topic of opioids.
So Dr. Choi, if you today saw a problem in your pharmacy, are you the one that's actually doing that inventory? I think Dr. Rivera said it's, there's the perpetual inventory that you have going, but then every 2 months of the actual hard count of the C2s. Is that you that's personally doing that?
Correct.
And if you detected an issue, what is your process today?
So if I detect an issue, it'd immediately be brought up to the director of pharmacy and then to the CEO, Gerard Rivera. I know that any losses need to be reported within 30 days to the Board of Pharmacy. And if there's any theft identified, it needs to be reported to the Board of Pharmacy within 14 days.
Okay. Actually, that's it. I commend you guys, especially I think you, Dr. Rivera, for speaking at Loma Linda University. You know, when we have these situations, it's always good to share it with fellow professionals and students so that we can all kind of learn from maybe mistakes that have happened in the past. So I applaud you guys for doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jason, any comments, questions?
Yes, I just want to thank the representatives for appearing before us today. Appreciate your review of best practices and updating your systems, and encourage you to work in partnership with the board going forward. Thank you for showing up today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Maria, any questions or comments?
I wanted to thank the gentleman for presenting with us today and sharing their learning experience. And I really do appreciate the responses and your professional presentation, making this well understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Jake, any comments, questions?
Yes, I wanted to thank the team for coming out today and for your time and professional presentation. Also have a question for you, Dr. Rivera. I really like your corrective action plan that you have in place at each one of your locations, especially at Valencia Pharmacy. What process do you have in place and documentation of such that these corrective actions are in fact being implemented by each of your PICs?
Yes. So on a monthly basis, when our independent consultant provides the report, Dr. Stephen Choi does a great job in gathering up the leadership team to ensure that the corrective action plan is reviewed. If there's any recommendation from the Board of Pharmacy for the quarterly visits that is worth noting on that specific month's management meeting, we don't wait for the meeting to share very important information. Dr. Stephen Choi is very proactive in ensuring if there's any sort of non-compliance with the corrective action plan, any variance in inventory. I did state that the amount of controlled medications in the long term in Valencia Pharmacy has been significantly reduced. And I would commend my fellow colleague, Dr. Stephen Choi. I don't want to take the credit for it because it's him that ensures and reports to me and shows the documentation that it's being followed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Jake, any questions? Any other questions? Okay. Cheryl, any other questions or comments?
I think everything's been very thorough. Most of the questions I had have been answered. I also thank you for appearing and sharing what you're doing now. I just wanted to double check that so that Jan Baltazar and Chris Choi both were let go right after this took place, or how soon after?
Yeah, so for Chris Choi, his employment, and Gabe, if you have the exact date, but let's get the dates for the board, please.
I have that he was last PIC on September 24th, 2014.
Right. And then for Jan, the transition wasn't immediate. It was more of a transition period. Jan officially stepped down as CEO in April of 2018. our board voted for me to kind of interim CEO during this time period of this audit in 2017. So it was a transition period. And the purpose of this transition period is for the viability of the company to ensure all our employees and patients were led by the appropriate leader, a qualified leader.
Okay. And so all that you have in place now, if we were to grant you what you're asking, all of those things would continue.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you all for coming today. I just have a couple questions and clarification. So for Mr. Balthazar, I see that he was a part owner. Is he still part owner of the Pacific Pharmacy Group?
No, President, no. No ownership of Pacific Pharmacy Group.
Okay. So you guys kind of bought him out? Is that how it ended?
Yes, all ownership of Jan Balthazar ended through sales of all shares that he had of Pacific Pharmacy Group.
Okay. Perfect. And so how many pharmacies is it owned by Pacific Pharmacy Group?
How many pharmacies? There's 7 locations that we own.
Okay. And for Valencia location, how many employees are there usually?
I'd say for Valencia, and Gabe, obviously you're on site every day. You want to take President oath, answer for accuracy, please?
Yes, we have 20 employees on site at our Valencia campuses.
Okay. And they're all long-term care oriented pharmacies?
No, in that particular pharmacy, Valencia Pharmacy, we have 3 employees.
3 employees?
For that particular Valencia Pharmacy, yes. That's on probation.
Oh, okay. 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 And so when you guys are saying that you do inventory, you are basically saying you do inventory reconciliation, meaning you count the medications, you actually check the invoices, you check the dispensing history. You're not just counting and then looking at the number, correct?
Correct. You know, upon, and then Dr. Choi, go ahead and speak for yourself, but within our standard operating procedure, checking the invoices for the appropriate delivery of what we ordered to ensure it's 3 bottles, it did 3 bottles go in, and the physical count of what should be there, actually counting the medication to ensure what the perpetual shows is exactly the balance on hand.
Okay.
And just to add to that, we do a inventory where we have the number present at the start of the inventory, the number present at the previous inventory. We have a column for how much was dispensed between each inventory, as well as how much was purchased. So we have different columns recognizing different times between each inventory.
Thank you. And that is all I have. And thank you everyone for coming. Applaud your hard work and we appreciate your time. And back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, President O. Dr. Rivera, is there anything else you'd like to add? Any more testimony, exhibits, or statements?
Yes, Your Honor. We each of one of us have prepared just a short closing statement. If we could share it.
Oh, that's fine. You've all been sworn in under oath. You may decide the order.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll go first, and then we'll just go on down the line. Thank you again to everyone on the call today. On behalf of Dr. Stephen Choi, Gabe Boris, myself, and our company, we are extremely appreciative of everyone's time and consideration. We truly feel that from this experience of our probation and the guidance from the Board of Pharmacy, we have learned to be overall better practitioners and members of the pharmacy profession. Thank you.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the Board of Pharmacy for allowing us to petition for early dismissal of probation. As we mentioned, we take full responsibility for the failure of Valencia Pharmacy to maintain a current inventory of controlled substances and for the inability to account for inventory shortages of certain medications at the time of the audit. We have been in full compliance with all of the probationary terms and conditions of our disciplinary order and have made the necessary adjustments to rehabilitate Valencia Pharmacy to prevent any further inventory issues. We want to thank the Board of Pharmacy and inspectors for their guidance and support throughout our probation, as they have played a tremendous role in our rehabilitation. Our goal is to satisfy the terms of this probation while practicing pharmacy in the most compliant and compassionate way possible. We believe we have achieved this goal and humbly ask that our license for Valencia Pharmacy be released from probationary status. Thank you.
And in closing, since becoming a pharmacist on September 14, 2017, I wanted to challenge myself to be the best pharmacist possible. I saw the opportunity to enhance my pharmacy knowledge and experience by accepting the role of PIC at Valencia Pharmacy, knowing that I will be tasked with bringing this pharmacy out of probation status. Although I was not a pharmacist or the PIC during the time of the timeframe of the investigation, I have taken this probation very seriously. At the start of the probation, keeping up with the requirements of the probation in addition to learning to become a great pharmacist/manager was challenging. However, I have come to really appreciate this probation as I have gained valuable knowledge that most pharmacists do not get to experience in their career. I feel that I have mastered pharmacy law, compliance, record keeping, and ultimately staying organized, which is the basis of this probation. I have taken the opportunity to use the information I have gained throughout this probation to educate every student that I've had the privilege to precept from 4 different university schools of pharmacy. I am able to offer these students information and skills that many rotations are unable to provide due to the experience I have gained. I have also been able to share information with my colleagues regarding pharmacy board visits and expectations. Through this probation, I have learned to utilize the different avenues available to pharmacists to find the proper information and to have questions answered. For example, I routinely read the script that is provided by the Board of Pharmacy, and I have used the Ask an Inspector hotline on many occasions. I want to thank the Board of Pharmacy for their support and guidance as we have worked to rehabilitate Valencia Pharmacy. Due to our compliance and good standing with our probation over 3 years, we humbly ask that our pharmacy license be reinstated in full. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Choi, Mr. Juarez, and Dr. Rivera. Do you have any other additional closing remarks?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. Ms. Jarvis, if you'd like to present closing remarks, please.
Not really, Your Honor. At this point, I see no reason for this petition not to be granted, and I will submit this to the jurisdiction of the board.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. So at this time, this concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The case is submitted and the record is closed. We are off the record in this matter and will proceed to the next petition. So Dr. Rivera, Dr. Choi, Mr. Juarez, you are excused and may go about your day. Thank you. So, President O, would you like to take a break before the next petition?
Is 2:49, so members, anyone needing a break?
Just a quick 5-minute break will work.
Okay, sounds good, Ricardo. We will take 5-minute break at let's do 2:55.
That's fine, President O. I'll see everyone back at 2:55.
For some reason, 5 minutes just feel like it flies by. I don't know why. We're already back, so
Yes, it does.
we'll make sure everybody's back on video.
And I'm back as well.
Thank you, Jose. I think we're just waiting on Ricardo, Cheryl, Shirley, and Nicole. Shirley, I see it. So just Ricardo, Nicole, and Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl's back. Just Ricardo. Waiting on Ricardo.
May I get the pronunciation of petitioner and petitioner's counsel, please? Of your names, sorry.
Ivan Petrozelka for counsel.
Petrozelka, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
And my name is Peter Nandi Onwumere.
Onwumere, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you prefer Dr. or Mr. Onwumere?
Mr. will be just fine.
Okay. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
See Ricardo, he seems to be back. So Judge, Your Honor, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, President O. Okay, so before we begin, I want to thank petitioner and his counsel very much for their patience today. I know it's been a long day. I presume that you heard the instructions before the other petitioners, but I'm going to repeat them just in case. Today is concerned with rehabilitation, not with the facts underlying the discipline. And everything in your petition packet, the board has had an opportunity to read, so you don't need to go through it all. Thank you. Is there anything before we go on the record?
Oh, just a housekeeping issue, Your Honor. The petitions for Cedar Pharmacy and Peter Onwumere should be heard jointly. I see that the board has them listed separately. So in the interest of time, we would request this to be consolidated into one.
Okay, thank you. I have them in my file as a single case. President
Yes.
O, do you know if there's anything that I should be doing differently to consolidate these matters?
I will defer to our counsel, Eileen.
I believe so, Your Honor. I think what we can do is the facts underlying both for the pharmacy and the pharmacist in charge kind of go to both, and then we'll just make sure during the deliberations that we reach determination on both.
Okay, and let me just double check. Do they have the same agency case number?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. All right, with that, we are on the record before the California State Board of Pharmacy. A quorum of the board is present. My name is Jessica Wall. I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings assigned to preside over this matter. We are here right now hearing the petitions for early termination of probation filed by Cedar Pharmacy and Medical Supplies, Inc. and Dr. Peter Onwumere, agency case number 5488, OAH case number 2021070815. May I please take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role here is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. May I please take the appearance of Petitioner's Counsel?
Ivan Petrozelka on behalf of Cedar Pharmacy and Medical Supplies Incorporated and Peter Onwumere.
Thank you, Mr. Petrozelka. I will do my best. At this time, I would like to swear in Mr. Onwumere, so any testimony he gives will be able to be viewed as evidence. So, Mr. Onwumere, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. All right. So at this time, may I please ask Ms. Jarvis to introduce the petition summary?
Yes, thank you. This matter arose through the filing of an accusation, after which petitioners proceeded to an administrative hearing. After the hearing, a proposed decision was issued, which was rejected by the board, apparently due to the need to modify some of the probation terms. The ultimate and disciplinary terms did not change. Effective June 1st, 2018, petitioners' licenses were revoked, with the revocation stayed for a 7-year probation period with certain specified terms and conditions of probation. Petitioner Onwumere is the owner, president, and pharmacist in charge of Cedar Pharmacy, and therefore, when I speak of actions taken by either petitioner, the actions can be assumed to either be taken by petitioner Onwumere on behalf of the pharmacy, or by other employees of the pharmacy on behalf of the pharmacy, as supervised and approved by petitioner Onwumere. The underlying facts of the matter are that in 2013, Clovis Police detained a known drug dealer. In his vehicle were 2 receipts from Cedar Pharmacy, one showing that 68 prescriptions had been purchased for 23 different patients in a single transaction at a cost exceeding $10,000. And the other receipt had 36 prescriptions for 12 patients at a cost of nearly $6,000. It was ultimately shown at hearing that petitioner had filled prescriptions containing every single red flag ever identified by the board to identify a fraudulent prescription. Some of the prescriptions had excessive cash transactions. Prescriptions came into the pharmacy in the same numerical sequence as on the prescription pad. A physician, who, by the way, later surrendered his license, and we heard about earlier today, Dr. Flores, prescribed the exact same combination of medications for every single patient. Approximately 78% of the 32 patients listed on the 2 receipts were first-time customers. And when questioned, petitioner did not remember any of the patients and did not use Cures data to review any patient information or do any background investigation whatsoever. The federal government also disciplined petitioner, causing him to have to repay a large amount in profits. There were a couple different numbers in the petition packet, so I'm not going to venture as to how much, but it was well over $500,000. Ultimately, there were 4 causes for discipline proven at hearing. There was unprofessional conduct under 3 different provisions of the pharmacy law for clearly excessive furnishing of controlled substances without verifying a legitimate medical purpose, and then gross negligence for the clearly excessive furnishing, and that failing to recognize the multiple signs that the prescriptions were fraudulent evidenced a severe neglect of the duties of the pharmacy and the pharmacist in charge. Petitioner Onwumere was allowed to retain ownership of the pharmacy in the settlement terms, or not the settlement terms, I apologize, in the probation terms, but he was not allowed to continue as the PIC at that time. Now, at this time, petitioners are 100% compliant with their probation terms, including a repayment of $32,632 in investigation and prosecution costs. Petitioners have completed enough time, 3 years, on probation to be eligible to bring this petition before the board. And in support of the petition, Petitioner Onwumere has provided continuing education certificates totaling 263.75 hours from April of 2019 through January of 2021. And then just a few days ago, Petitioner's Counsel also provided an additional 66 hours from January of 2021 through June of 2021. So the period after which the petition was sent to the board and was filed with the board, and this petition was able to be heard. That's in excess of 320 hours of continuing ed in just about 2 years. Petitioner also provided 11 letters of recommendation, all of which were able to be verified by board staff. These letter writers, for the most part, stated that they knew of the accusation and the discipline, mostly because petitioner had explained it to them, not from any other way, working at the pharmacy or anything like that. They all believe that petitioner is a good person who made mistakes, is remorseful, and is working to make the world a better place. Additionally, the writers made statements such as petitioner has taken responsibility for his actions, is humble and contrite, an upstanding person trying to recover from mistakes that he made. He's a professional with high integrity, and he uses his past experiences as a learning experience for himself and others in his community. At this time, I'd like to move Exhibit 1, consisting of all the documents described above as the petition packet, the notice of hearing, and the memorandum to the board.
All right, Mr. Petrozelka, do you have any objections to Exhibit 1?
I do not. I do, however, have a question for Ms. Jarvis regarding Exhibit E that was submitted with the petition. On page 1 of the Exhibit E, the certificate from continuing pharmacy education, that provides evidence of 500 hours of continuing education, whereas Ms. Jarvis stated 263 hours, which is almost half of what Mr. Onwumere actually completed. So I'm not sure if the entire exhibit had made it to the board, but...
Give me one moment, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we need to go off the record, or do you think we'll be able to resolve this quickly?
I should be able to resolve it quickly. I've got it right here. I just have to blow it up so that it's readable. I have too many things on my screen at one time. Oh, I think it was the time period was the issue. So I only provided information as to the last 2 years prior to the petition. But Mr. Petrozelka is correct that the activity date range for Exhibit E, page 1, is from June of 2018 through February of 2021 and shows 450 hours.
Okay.
So yeah, there were more hours. I believe pursuant to statute, we really focus on the last 2 years prior to the petition being heard.
I understand that. Yes, the reason we introduced the 3-year period of time is because that was from the date the petition was filed, from the date the probation became effective. And I believe in the petition it requests information from the date the petition was effective. So that was the reason we submitted the period of time from June 1st, 2018.
Yeah, and that is definitely on the record.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Petrozelka, do you have any objections to Exhibit 1?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Exhibit 1 is admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then Exhibit 2 is the underlying decision and order, just showing us why we're here today.
No objection.
Okay, Exhibit 2 is admitted into evidence.
All right, then I will turn the floor over to Petitioner's Counsel.
All right, Mr. Petrozelka, will you please begin presenting your case?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Judge Wall, President O, and members of the board. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present these 2 petitions for early termination of probation on behalf of Mr. Peter Onwumere and his pharmacy, Cedar Pharmacy and Medical Supplies. Mr. Onwumere understands that these petitions are granted sparingly, and we're not here today with any sense of entitlement or right. We're here today with a humble request for reprieve in light of the strong and continuous rehabilitation efforts that Mr. Onwumere had put forth over the last 6 years, actually, even though the board's probation is only 3 years so far. Of course, we understand that the highest priority of the board is public protection, and any other interest follows that. What I would like to bring forth today, and Mr. Onwumere's testimony will show, that the man who stands here today before you is not the same man who made these mistakes that Ms. Jarvis had described 10 years ago. He does not have the same cavalier attitude to dispensing controlled substances he had 10 years ago. The pharmacist who you see today, he fully understands the critical importance of pharmacists in preventing abuse and diversion of controlled substances. The principal causes for discipline, as Ms. Jarvis mentioned, was violation of Controlled Substance Act and violation of the corresponding responsibility for legitimacy of prescriptions for controlled substances. And these are very serious errors in the pharmacist's professional judgment. Even though Mr. Onwumere is fully compliant with the terms of his probation, he certainly does not expect that mere compliance would be sufficient to grant this petition. He understands that in order for this petition to succeed, he needs to demonstrate that he went above and beyond mere compliance, and we believe that he did so. And the documents that we submitted in support of our petition should provide sufficient evidence of that. We briefly touched on the amount of continuing education that Mr. Onwumere put forth in very broad areas that would encompass the entire practice of pharmacy. Although he did seek additional education specific to the opioid epidemic, specific to handling of controlled substances, he also wanted to ensure that his education is broad to encompass all of the aspects. What is also of significant importance is the timeline of these events. The underlying events occurred more than 10 years ago, in 2010, 2011. Since then, Mr. Onwumere and his pharmacy had operated under various restrictions in terms of probation for about 6 years. In 2015, Mr. Onwumere had entered into the Memorandum of Understanding with the Drug Enforcement Administration that enumerated certain terms and conditions of his continuing practice. He fulfilled all these terms in 2018, and as he will testify in a few moments, in fact, he was so successful in complying and exceeding the requirements of that memorandum that the Drug Enforcement Administration significantly reduced the amount of the penalties that were assessed against him from nearly $1 million to approximately $600,000. So that in and of itself speaks volumes of his continuous efforts to rehabilitate himself. Then in 2018, he was put on probation by the board on terms very similar to those that were applicable under the terms of that memorandum of agreement with the Drug Enforcement Administration. So in effect, he's been serving probation for 6 consecutive years. And this, of course, caused significant hardship to Mr. Onwumere, his family, and his employees, particularly in terms of cancellation of insurance contracts for his pharmacy. And essentially that decreased the prescription volume substantially. And as he will testify later on, he had to make some significant changes to his staffing, etc. These whole events essentially turned his life upside down. And many pharmacists in this situation will simply give up and just seek some other source of employment, source of income. Not Mr. Onwumere. He stayed the course, and he continuously and systematically worked towards rehabilitation and worked towards helping his community. He's engaged in the efforts to fight the opioid epidemic. He understands the serious nature of his errors, and he wants to sort of give back to the community, and he'll testify to that in a moment. So at this point of time, he understands that whatever consequences he suffered, he's got only himself to blame for it. But at the same time, we would like to respectfully ask the board to consider the fact that after working for nearly 6 years under various terms of probation and restrictions, continuing the probation for additional 4 years does not really provide any appreciable additional margin of safety to the public. And we believe that the evidence and testimony that will be submitted as part of this case will establish that at this point of time, Mr. Onwumere and his pharmacy do not pose any appreciable risk to the public. And therefore, that the granting of this petition would in fact be in public interest. And with that said, I would like to call Mr. Onwumere to provide his testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Petroselka. Mr. Onwumere, I just want to remind you that you are under oath. So you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. With your permission, I would like to do sort of a hybrid testimony, which would be more along the line of narrative rather than question and answer.
That's fine, Mr. Petroselka.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Onwumere, thank you for joining us today. Just as a brief background, could you tell us how long have you been a pharmacist in California?
I've been a pharmacist since for the past 19 years.
Okay. And at present, what is your primary area of practice?
It's retail community pharmacy. This has been our, because we offer personalized service to our customers. This has been my focus from day one when the pharmacy was open. And this will continue to be my primary focus until the last day I can no longer work as a pharmacist.
And in the case that was made against you by both the DEA and the Board of Pharmacy, do you understand what did you do wrong and how incredibly dangerous that was?
Yes, I did. I was reckless, to be honest with you. I didn't follow, I didn't do my due diligence and corresponding responsibility. It's my fault. I mean, I was foolish. When I look back 10 years ago, to be honest with you, I do ask myself sometimes, what were you thinking? Why did you fill those prescriptions? If I see those prescriptions today, I will not fill it. So I regret everything I did 10 years ago. I should have filled those prescriptions. I disgraced myself. I disgraced the Board of Pharmacy. I put a shame on my family. This is not who I am. My practice has changed. I mean, we've changed everything about Cedar Pharmacy. So we pose zero threat to the public. Zero threat to the public.
So when you, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Can I say something about how I get to this country for a minute?
Please.
My journey has not been easy, to be honest with you. As a little boy growing up in the village in Nigeria, it's been a dream to come to the United States of America, to come here. It was a land of opportunities to come to America. I never had a chance. When I finished pharmacy school, the same Board of Pharmacy granted me intern license. It was because of that Rite Aid was able to apply for me H-1B visa. It was but the Board of Pharmacy that did that for me. That's why I was able to come to this great country, because of the Board of Pharmacy. I was almost going to lose them all 10 years ago, when I had this problem. My dream could have ended 10 years ago. But I'm grateful to the board giving me a second chance to come to be in your presence. I am honored to be in your presence. I am privileged to be in your presence. You're giving me a second chance. And trust me, Cedar Pharmacy is a completely different pharmacy today, because our focus has shifted to ophthalmology, dermatology, and a little bit of pediatric ADHD medication from the Fresno County. Very little pediatric for, mentally, challenged, kids. We have two big ophthalmology groups very close to the pharmacy, the IQ Vision Center and Fogg Maxwell, Rainier, and Remington. We work with them closely to provide ophthalmic drops for patients with glaucoma and cataract. And we do a lot of skin, dermatology as well with the doctors in Fresno area. So our volume of control substance is about 1%. When I spoke my cardinal rep, he told me that the normal volume of most pharmacies is about 36%, but Cedar Pharmacy is just about 1%. So we are, at this point, Cedar Pharmacy poses no threat to the public. So I'm grateful to be here, and I thank you so much for this second chance. Thank you so much.
So when you're saying that your volume of controlled substances is only 1%, so what kind of controlled substances are you dispensing? There is a restriction on your license currently based on the terms of and conditions of your probation. How did this change came about, and when did you make this change?
Yeah, first of all, that was in early February of 2017. We modified our DA license to dispense only Class 2 non-narcotic for the Fresno County.
Okay, why did you do that? Were you ordered to do that by the agency or by the board, or?
No, I did that voluntarily.
Okay. So you decided to stop dispensing all controlled substances except for the ADHD medication.
That is correct.
And that's still, you're still dispensing only these controlled substances. You don't dispense any other controlled substances.
That is correct.
Okay. So when the DEA came to your pharmacy and then subsequently the board and they did the investigation, those were all related principally to the frequently abused drugs, the opioids and combination of opioids and anxiolytics. When you found out about these, in my opinion, very serious deficiencies in your practice, what did you do at that time?
I was surprised, and I was kind of shocked that I could have allowed such things to happen under my watch, because when it was brought to my attention, so immediately we worked, towards preventing any drug, diversion from the pharmacy. So that's when I made the decision to completely stop dispensing opioids.
Okay. And are you doing something about the current opioid epidemic that is affecting very seriously our state and our country. Even though you're not dispensing these drugs, but as a pharmacist, you still have the responsibility to do something about that. What is it that you're doing, if anything?
I joined the Central Valley Opioid Coalition and also Lock It Up program, where we educate, patients and customers about the dangers of prescription drug abuse. My pharmacy is one of the pharmacies that does this. We share brochures to patients, and we counsel patients on dangers of opioid. In as much as we don't do any more opioids, it's a part of a public service campaign we do. Okay. And I have also talked to a lot of doctors and pharmacists, using my experience to stay away from overprescribing and over dispensing of opioids.
And are these strategies and these steps that you're describing, did these steps play any significant role in your compliance with the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Drug Enforcement Administration?
Sorry, can you come again? I'm sorry. What did you say?
Sorry, I think I covered my microphone here. Were these efforts and changes in your practice, did these areas play any role in your compliance with the Memorandum of Understanding with the Drug Enforcement Administration that you entered into 2015?
No, this is something I chose to do myself, to educate myself more.
Okay. And the compliance, can you talk a little bit about what you did in terms of complying with the terms of the DEA memorandum between 2015 and 2018?
At that time, what I did was I hired retired DEA professionals to come and help me, because it was a 3-year action plan with the DEA. So they come to see the pharmacy. We go through, the controlled substances. We go through them, count them, everything, make sure there's nothing missing in the pharmacy. Then they will report it to the agency here in Fresno. So this was on for a very long time, And the DEA, at the end of the day, they were impressed by the way the action plans was carried out. And they sent me, I was surprised the day I received a letter from the DEA reducing my the amount of money I was supposed to pay, and saying that their scrutiny, that it's over, kind of. I was shocked when I received a letter from the DEA.
So can you tell us a little bit more about these more recent changes that you've made in your practice from the beginning of the probation with the Board of Pharmacy? That would be from the June of 2018.
Now, what we do now is, in as much as we don't do a whole lot of opioids, we train our staff on Controlled Substance Act. We get them trained to recognize red flags, and they know more. We know more about a corresponding responsibility. We check the cures, and we have a policy and procedure in place in the pharmacy as well. And because our focus has shifted from controlled substances to ophthalmology, dermatology, and pediatric ADHD, that's where our focus is now. And that's what we do for the most part.
Okay. So if your petition is granted, do you plan on going back to dispensing all controlled substances as most pharmacies do today?
I do not want to go back doing the same thing. I don't want to dispense opioid anymore at Cedar Pharmacy. That doesn't mean that I don't have knowledge of corresponding responsibility and how to resolve red flags. I know all that, but I want to focus more on what I've been doing for the past 9 years plus. Just dermatology, ophthalmology, and the Fresno County mental health.
Okay. So this Fresno County mental health you brought up a couple of times, and why do they come to you? Obviously, there are a number of pharmacies in Fresno area. Is there any particular reason why they would come to Cedar Pharmacy and not to Walgreens, for example?
I think they come to us because we offer personalized service, one. Two, because they are mainly low-income families, they can afford to travel, they don't have means of transportation. So we offer them free delivery services, and because of the nature of the medications their kids take, we also counsel them on the need to, because these are ADHD medications. We counsel their parents about the need for compliance and stuff like that, which they can't get from the chain drug stores. So that's why the county, some of them still go to the big stores, don't get me wrong, but some as well come to Cedar Pharmacy.
Okay. So when you're saying that they can't get the counseling service at the other pharmacies, well, counseling is mandatory in any pharmacy where you go. It doesn't really matter. But are you doing something else that would be in addition to the counseling?
Sometimes we do call up customers to check on to see how their kids are doing. Whether they are doing okay, and that's the parents appreciate that.
So, in your opinion, is that the personalized care and personalized touch that you think that attracts your patients to your pharmacy?
That is correct.
Okay. Are you currently the pharmacist in charge at your pharmacy?
No, it's Tom. It's not me. It's Tom Bingham.
Okay. So, why is it you are not the PIC because you are prohibited from being the PIC by the terms of your probation? Is that correct?
That is correct.
So if the board were to grant your petition after the hearing today, would you go back to being the PIC of your pharmacy?
That's a tough question. I plan to keep Tom as my PIC because we work well together. Tom is a good man. When I was looking for a PIC, it was hard for me. It was difficult. I didn't know where to turn to. So God sent me Tom when I needed somebody. He came to my pharmacy as a patient. And for some reason, we started talking. So when I had this problem of PIC, I called him. So yeah, Tom is a good man. He's a good man.
And do you feel competent to be the PIC again if necessary?
Oh, absolutely. I used to be a PIC when I used to work for Rite Aid for 7 years, and I was very competent. That's not a problem.
So, is there any particular reason or any specific area of practice that you would like to engage in that you currently cannot because of your probationary status, or what is the reason why are you petitioning for shortening of your probation?
I have always wanted to install collection receptacle in my pharmacy to be able to help my community. It's kind of a free service where they can come and drop expired or opioids or medication. This will help a lot to prevent drug abuse and diversion.
Yeah. Is that something you cannot do right now?
No, I can't, because they told me because I was on probation, I cannot do it. So if I'm lucky, if my probation is granted, that will be the first thing I'm going to do at Cedar Pharmacy.
Okay. So you would want to be engaged in this service as a collector of unwanted drugs. Okay. And what other impact, if any, did this probation have on your pharmacy and on you, aside from stopping you from being engaging in this service?
A lot of insurances, canceled our contracts because of this. It's been very tough, and most of our customers left. A lot of people left because of this as well. They like my pharmacy and they like me as a pharmacist, and they were forced to go to the big to the big chain stores. So it affected the care we give to these patients, because, and some of them asked me, oh, whenever you're off probation, please call us back. We're going to come back to your pharmacy.
So if the board were to grant your petition, it would enable you to essentially go back to being a full service pharmacy for all the insurance companies that you currently cannot accept, and you could resume service to your community as you were prior to the probation.
That is correct.
Okay. And I'm still having a bit of a hard time understanding, and I'm sure that the board members will as well, given the serious nature of your mistakes that you've made 10 years ago, even though it has been 10 years, still, there were pretty serious mistakes. Why should the board and the public trust you today with controlled substances and with the unrestricted operation of a pharmacy? Can you offer some guarantees that you're not going to go back and being reckless again and dispense controlled substances left and right?
Thank you for that question. I am a different man today. I am a different pharmacist. This whole process has made me a better pharmacist, and the whole thing has humbled me. I've learned a lot from this process. So I will never, ever repeat the same mistake again. I'm at the Board of Pharmacy. Please trust me. I will never, ever. The pharmacy is a different pharmacy today. I can't, I have my peace of mind the way the pharmacy is being run today. Just the Fresno County mental health facility, the ophthalmology we do, for glaucoma, cataract, and dermatology. That's our main focus. I do not see narcotics, opioid, in my future, again, as a pharmacist. I do not.
So you actually believe that you can practice safely and responsibly the profession of pharmacy without the additional supervision by the board at this point of time?
That is correct.
Are you doing any sort of community service, either from your pharmacy or in your personal life? I think that as part of the documents, I remember seeing some contributions to local schools. Could you tell the board just a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do a lot of contribution to some schools here in California, and also to Make-A-Wish Foundation. And there was also an instance that happened in the pharmacy it's been about 5 or I don't know, it's been a while. Someone died, and they are from Mexico. Some of my staff, they were crying, because they are all church members. So I had to ask them, why are you crying? They told me their church member died of cancer, and they don't have money to send her back to Mexico. I said, okay, is that why you say that? That's why they're crying. So the next day, I gave I paid for this woman to be flown back to Mexico. This was a shock to the woman's husband, a man they've never met. So I believe in act of kindness. I believe in that.
Okay. Thank you. I have, unless you have something else to share, Mr. Onwumere, I have no further questions.
Honorable Deputy Attorney General Jarvis and the Judge Walls and the board members, I thank you people so much for giving me this second chance to be here. I'm pleading for mercy. I mean, I messed up. There's no question about that. But today I'm a different person. I've learned from my mistake. I've learned from my mistake. If you grant me this probation, you will never regret it. I want to work closely with the board in any way I can to fight opioid, epidemic. In any way I can help the Board of Pharmacy, because the Board of Pharmacy has been so good to me, as a matter of fact. They've been so good to me. They are giving me a second chance. To that I appreciate. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onwumere. Ms. Jarvis, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Mr. Onwumere, you've talked a lot about how you've learned and you made a mistake, but let me ask you a few just very specific questions. At the time that these activities were going on at your pharmacy, were you aware of the red flags of drug diversion?
I am aware. Okay, we actually called the doctor's office to verify some of the prescriptions. I mean, as I said before, I'm not here to, I made an error in judgment. I did. I made an error in judgment, and I regret that error, that mistake till today.
Okay, But was it concerning to you? I mean, I understand what you're saying, that you made an error and we're not here to relitigate what happened. What I want to understand though is kind of your thought process when that was happening. Because wasn't it concerning to you when a single person came in and paid over $10,000 for so many prescriptions for different patients? Like, did that cross your mind? Is this a problem?
You see, being a new pharmacy at that time, it was a struggle. We didn't have patients. It was just a struggle. We called the office of the doctor to verify the prescriptions. And they said it was written by the doctor. I agree that it wasn't an error in judgment. I didn't know it was an error. I think I was very naive as to believe that it was okay to fill it.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. All right. President O, if you wouldn't mind going through the board and asking for their questions.
Your Honor, thank you, Mr. Onumere. I'm going to start with Shirley. Shirley, any questions or comments?
No questions. Just thank you for your presentation today and your service to the community for battling the opioid epidemic.
Thank you. Ricardo, any questions or comments?
I just wanted to also thank you for coming before the board. I know it takes a lot of courage to do that, and wish you the best of luck with the profession. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, just a quick question. Thank you for coming today. I wanted to ask, you talked a lot about making a lapse in judgment, but were there mitigating factors for you? You talked about the pharmacy struggling, so were you worried about bringing in money? Were you worried about the patient reacting negatively if you denied a prescription? Were you, kind of what were the other things that went on that you maybe influenced you to make that bad judgment call?
I wasn't thinking correctly. As I said to you, when I look back, it doesn't make sense what I did 10 years ago. It does not make sense. And I cannot sit down here to try to justify it. It does not make sense. If I see those prescriptions today, I will never fill it.
Thank you. And can you remind me how long you've been a pharmacist?
For 19 years.
And how different would you say the way we view controlled substance prescriptions is today versus when you started? And when did you really see the change in the way that we viewed those?
Sorry, can you repeat your question, sorry?
Sure, sorry. So do you see a difference in the way that we, as a profession, as pharmacists, feel about controlled substances today versus when you first started practicing? And if yes, when about do you see that change in the way we treated controlled substances and look at them?
You see, I became aware of what I did when my mistakes were made clear to me. And since that time, I became very, very aware of the consequences of furnishing opioid prescriptions without due diligence. Obviously, over the time, it's more severe now because of the opioid, epidemic.
Great. Thank you so much. No more questions.
BVL, any questions or comments?
I do, thank you. So you mentioned that that you really want to work on opioid education and talking to people about it. Can you explain the forum? Like, where is it that you're doing that? Where are you having that educational exchange?
That's what with the opioid coalition meetings that we normally go to, and also at my pharmacy. And when I talk to patients and pharmacy students and pharmacy professionals and doctors.
I guess, so when you're at the coalition meetings, if you're doing education, I mean, do people come to those that have opioid problems, and that's why you're able to educate patients at the coalition meetings?
No, at the meetings, we discuss what we're going to do. So when I go to my pharmacy, I will carry out all those plans. Like I was in Lock It Up program, where we have pamphlets that talks about opioid addiction and misuse. So we share this in the pharmacy to our patients, our customers that come in.
But if you're not dispensing any opioids, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out is, if you're not dispensing any opioids in your pharmacy and you're only doing ADHD drugs, how do you educate your patients if there aren't anybody that you're giving opioids to, and you're not selling opioids?
What happens is that some of them, especially when we counsel patients, we do ask them, do you know anybody that takes opioid? And they will say yes or no. So that's when that's when I come in to talk about the coalition, the Lock It Up program, and I give them the brochures. In as much as we don't do that, I still want to keep doing that because it's a way of giving back to my community. As a pharmacist, and with my experience with what I went through, that's why I want to keep doing that, even if I don't dispense any more, opioids.
So it's just like, as people come in, you just, if you have a chance, you ask them if they know anybody that has opioid issues and you educate them. Is that kind of how it works?
Yes, we do. We do talk to them when I counsel patients. I just talk about the opioid crisis. They say, oh, I know somebody. Oh, my cousin. Oh, my friend. I said, oh, okay. Then I'll talk about the coalition and the Lock It Up program, and we have the brochures in the pharmacy, which I'm going to give them.
Okay.
So they were happy. I have a lot of people say, oh, thank you so much.
Now, I know you say you mainly do dermatology, which there's probably not a lot of pain involved in dermatology, but I could think with ophthalmology, there could be like different kinds of like cataract surgeries, and that there could potentially be patients who might come in with prescriptions for pain medications, including opioids, Tylenol, codeine, and things like that. So what do you do with those patients that are your regular customers that are they have a prescription for 5 Tylenol number 3s? You fill their eye drops and then you send them elsewhere to get the Tylenol 3s?
That is correct. That is what we do.
And I guess I understand, I understand why, because you had this this problem happen, but it seems like as a pharmacist, not that I'm encouraging you to dispense opioids, but it does seem like there is pain, and maybe you've kind of gone way over here to avoid opioids, but there is appropriate times to dispense them. So, and I mean, you seem like you're very caring and everything. I just think it would be hard to have to tell people I just, I don't do that.
Yeah, we have people that come to the pharmacy with prescriptions even today as we speak. And when we look at the prescription, it might have Tylenol 3 and an antibiotic. And we will tell them, oh, you know what? If I fill your antibiotic, the other pharmacy will not fill the control. And because we don't do control here, please, can you go to CVS or Walgreens and fill your prescriptions? And for the most part, they don't get offended.
Okay. And then with the ADHD drugs, it sounds like you're doing it. Is it mainly just for the county, and so it's the county doctors and the county clinics that you get those prescriptions from?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie. Jason, any comments or questions?
Thank you to talk to Dr. Adewamire for attending today. Thank you for your honesty and your candor.
Thank you, sir.
Maria, any questions or comments?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Adewamire, for being here and for sharing your unique solution of self-limiting your own DEA license. I don't think I've ever heard that before, and I find that very interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Jig, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Doc, for coming out today and for your testimony. And I just had a follow-up questions to what some of my other board members have already asked you. The whole spectrum of from filling a lot of controlled substances to not doing any or very little, and the fact that you work so closely with Fresno County Mental Health. Part of the recovery programs, those recovery programs, the ones with opiate addictions, and if they have groups that they might have at mental health, usually they do, they prescribe Suboxone, which is a controlled substance. What is your take on filling those prescriptions to get people off of opiates?
We don't feel those as well. We don't.
Oh, Board Member Patel, if I may interject and may perhaps provide a information that may have gotten lost in translation. The terms of Mr. Onwumere's probation expressly prohibited him from dispensing controlled substances with the exception of Schedule II non-narcotics for the first 3 years of his probation. So even if he wanted to do that, he could not.
I completely understand that. My question was if the probation is lifted and he's able to secure a full license, would he do that?
And he would probably consider it. Mr. Onwumere, would you please?
Yes, I will consider that. That is correct.
Okay. Thank you for your time today.
Any comments or questions?
I too want to thank you for coming and addressing all the issues that we have and our concerns. And I know since I've been on the board, thinking about what Nicole was asking you about corresponding responsibility. And I recognize that, that since I've been here, been on the board, that corresponding responsibility, we got to the point where I was passing out our pamphlets. And I remember when it became very, very important to the pharmacy board because of the case that we had to enforce that. And again, I've been around for 8 years on the board. So I know that with what you have listening to your testimony, I can, even though it was really egregious, I can see that, 10 years ago, pharmacists weren't paying attention to it on the level that they are now, and how they have to, and how we see so many cases of it now. But again, I do appreciate the fact that you are real serious because of the understanding that you have on corresponding responsibility and the position that you now take. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. And Jose?
Question for the Attorney General's office, Ms. Jarvis. Did I hear correctly at the beginning that there was a drug dealer detained with 68 prescriptions in their vehicle, and there was a receipt in that vehicle amounting to approximately 10K? Is that correct?
Somewhat. So there was the prescriptions themselves were not in the vehicle. The receipt was what was in the vehicle. There were two receipts, one exceeding $10,000 and one just under 6,000. It was about 5,800.
Okay, thank you. And so my question to the doctor is, at the event or at the time when someone filled that many prescriptions, were you there? Do you recall that event?
It's been a long time. I can't recall. It's been it's over 10 years now. It's been a long time.
Are those purchases normal and that dollar amount?
Sorry again, if they are what?
The dollar amount for the prescriptions, is that something that you see normally?
No. As I said, it's been a long time. I can't recollect exactly the sequence of events.
Okay. So earlier, I heard that one of the reasons you have traffic coming back to your pharmacy. First, is your pharmacy 67 North Cedar?
That is correct.
So, the reason that you have, traffic coming in is because of the personalized care. Is that why people choose to return? Do you know the current rating reviews for your pharmacy from your community?
No, I do not. But there's one thing that you cannot. We strive to please everybody that comes to the pharmacy. We strive, but there are still some people that are not going to be happy, no matter how much you try.
So how do you gauge is it just a few return customers, that personalized care, the reason why people keep returning? I just want to kind of gauge, the satisfaction, and as people are, coming into your facility, they're being provided that personalized care. Just wanted to gauge how you're really, coming to, a conclusion that you're providing great care. Is it just on your personal experience or overall? Just the word of mouth that you're getting out there?
My personal experience, people tell us in the pharmacy all the time how great you are. Okay. I have a customer that transferred from CVS just this week, the whole family. Mm-hmm. So people tell us a lot, oh, you people are great. So there could be one or two people that are not happy. I mean, you can't really please, everybody that comes to the pharmacy. Maybe there might be one or two people that are not happy, but for the most part, people are happy coming to us.
Will you be shocked to know that it's about 2.5 to 2.9 out of 5? The satisfaction in the services that they're receiving at your establishment, at your pharmacy?
That's what I'm saying. It could be a few handful of people. I don't know. But my point is that people tell us in the pharmacy how great we are. We get that every day.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. And I just quick comment, Mr. Onumer. I am very impressed with your letter and you submitted in your petition. Thank you, and I really appreciate your rehabilitation that you tried to show beyond what is required of you, beyond probation requirements. And I really am impressed with your community involvement. I applaud your trying really hard to rehabilitate from what has happened, and good luck. We will hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Judge,
sir.
Your Honor, back to you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Petrozelka, do you have any more questions for your client?
No, Your Honor. I would, if you permit me, just make a brief closing statement.
Yes, please.
Well, thank you again, honorable members of the board and honorable judge, for listening to Mr. Onumer's testimony. He's a man who served his community for almost 20 years as a pharmacist, and he unquestionably made a number of really bad judgment calls 10 years ago. But again, that was 10 years ago, and he essentially served for almost 6 years on consecutive probations by 2 different agencies, one being the DEA, second being the board. He sincerely regrets the mistakes that he's made, but we also believe and we respectfully ask you to consider the evidence of his rehabilitation. The purpose of disciplinary proceedings and the purpose of probation is not a punishment. It is the rehabilitation. And we believe that at this point of time, continuing probation does not serve the rehabilitation purpose, but it only serves the purpose of punishment by preventing Mr. Onumer from engaging in the full scope of his practice that he could engage with unrestricted license. We believe that at this point of time, he and his pharmacy do not pose any appreciable risk to the public, and we respectfully ask you to consider our petition and hopefully grant early termination of his probation as being in the public interest. I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Petrozelka. Ms. Jarvis, would you please provide a closing remark?
At this time, petitioner has served less than half of the probation term that was imposed upon him. The board imposed a 7-year probation for a reason. Now, when petitioner was placed on probation, his probation monitor found several issues with how the pharmacy was being run. And over the course of the next year or two, his first couple of years on probation, those issues cleared up. And petitioner's probation monitor now states that there are no issues, and it appears that petitioner has learned a lot and really, goes above and beyond to be in compliance. However, petitioner has not yet returned to be the PIC and has not dispensed controlled substances because of his probation terms. Regardless of his intent now here today, if the probation is fully lifted, petitioner could become PIC tomorrow and start dispensing controlled substances as well with no oversight from the board. I would suggest to the board that at this time, that both petitioners' probation terms be modified to allow petitioner Onumer to dispense controlled substances and to be able to return to the position of PIC with the oversight of a consultant pharmacist, such as his current PIC, and see how that goes before the board's oversight is completely removed. Thank you.
So if there's nothing further, that concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The case is submitted and the record is closed. We are off the record in this matter, and it is the end of our petitions today. So Ms. Jarvis, Mr. Petrozelka, Mr. Onumer, you're excused. The rest of us.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, and thank you to the board for your attention today. I know it was a very long day, and I do appreciate you.
Okay, so President O, do we need a break before we go into closed session deliberations?
Yes. So just had to make a quick statement. As indicated on the agenda, the board will now move into the closed session for the stated purposes indicated on the agenda. Due to technological limitations, adjournment for the day will not be broadcast. Adjournment for the day will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business discussed. Members of the public, on behalf of the board, I would like to thank you for joining the meeting today. Members, we will begin closed session in 15 minutes. Members, there should be a link sent by Debbie Damis for the closed session. And so we will see you all there, and thank you for everyone for joining.
4:25 some?
Sounds great.
Okay.
4:25.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.